Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're going to review The Pain Behind It All by Man Must Die. So this album came out in February, and we both enjoyed it quite a bit. We didn't get the chance to review it until now, and we spent the entire last week listening to the album nonstop, and I'm going to open the floor and say this album is amazing. We both felt that way in our first impressions. When we were talking about it, we were like, oh my god, this is crazy. And I guess I'll start with, one of the earliest parts of the album, Patterns in the Chaos. You got an intro track of OCD, which is like 38 seconds, super duper quick. 32, okay. Either way, about 30 seconds of an intro, which I think is really short, sweet, and to the point, right? When he just says, fuck it, bam, there's an explosion right in your face. Yep. Such an amazing opener. It's so vicious, nasty riffs that go back and forth between very highly syncopated and not. Literally, like, the entire song is amazing. Every time I throw the album on and that song comes on, I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. To mention a song that I talked about back when we did our first impressions of this album, Click Hate, I still feel like it's a spiritual successor to Cyber Waste by Fear Factory. Yeah. Similar feeling. I'm just based on what I hear out of the lyrics. I didn't read them. And the name Click Hate, I'm willing to assume it's talking about haters on the internet. Yeah. Which is what Cyber Waste is about, so it only makes perfect sense, right? Yeah. And one thing to mention about that song, which goes for the whole album, is that this is the kind of harsh vocal where you can kind of tell what he's saying. And I like that because it's a sick, harsh vocal, but you can pick up on it pretty easily. So it's like, and there's so many awesome hooks that you want to belt out. Yeah. Like, fuck your hate and fuck you too. Or, bring me the head of the king, we don't need him. Love that. Like, there's so many of those moments in this album. Yeah. And it's great every single time. The crowd pleasers. 100%. Dude, I'd love to see this entire album live. Every single song. Barn Burner. Now, after Click Hate, there is a song called Enabler. Amazing hybrid of an interlude, but also a standalone track in the album. I think it's a great midpoint break. After Click Hate, which is super duper aggressive, you get this really kind of like sad sounding song that builds up all the way. And there's a thing before the choruses, he does this high scream. And it's just the most empowering, like, yeah! I fucking love it every single time. Like, the first time it happens is at the 2-minute mark and you hear it and you're like, yeah, give me the power! It's so good. What else? One thing, the only track that I can't, like, look at and say, like, oh yeah, there's all these crazy things about it, is, In the Hour Before Your Death. Not that it's like a bad song by any mean at all. It's just like, it's not as notable as others. Yeah. And I guess the last one I want to mention is the title track, which does a lot of really cool stuff with time signatures here. The main riff is in 7/4, which is really cool, but I like that it gives you a compound feeling of 3 plus 4. It doesn't feel like the way that it's phrased gives you the feeling of a bar of 3, a bar of 4. Yeah. Combined. Essentially, that's what it is. To a degree, yeah. A lot of people will count it that way, right? Yeah. If you're gonna play that song, you're probably gonna be counting it that way. Yeah. But it's 7/4. So yeah. For the verses. Yeah, exactly. Then they switch it up. They do 6/8 or 6/4 in the choruses. They do a few funny things. Yeah. 4/4 on the bridge. They even do the last. Right at the end, they do a 9/8, a bar of 9/8. 9/4. It's a bar of 9/4, which is super. It's such a subtle, small thing that they throw in at the end. And I love that intricacy of the song. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. I want to agree with what you said about The Hour Before Your Death. There's something about that song that it's great, but there's just not much to really say about it. It's kind of weird, right? So I agree with you on that. Enabler, you mentioned a couple things. Did you notice the part where it just like picks up double time for a couple bars? It's like playing a groove or whatever, and then all of a sudden it just like picks up double time for like 2 or 3 bars. It's like, I just love that part. It's pretty cool. Bring Me the Head of the King. Awesome song. Just straight up a fucking awesome song. Patterns in the Chaos. Riffs galore. Awesome song. Click Hate. Awesome song. War Is My Will. You didn't mention this one. I'm going to mention this one. Again, this is awesome too. So
one of the greatest things about this album and albums like this is that all these awesome songs each have different elements to them that make them awesome.
Yeah.
So for this one, for example, the chorus is just heavy tremolo with a blast beat, just going ham, with the vocals just singing the words or whatever,
which is another line that you really want to belt out.
And you just want to go, right? Like, these songs are such crowd pleasers. At a show, these would be so fun to listen and sing along to. Craziness. Alone in a Crowded Room is track number 9, and it's just an interlude track. It's 1 minute and 44 seconds. It's ominous, it's atmospheric. But what it does, I'm not the biggest fan of interlude tracks. No secret here on this channel. What this song, though, does is it sets up the last track very nicely.
It does.
Right? I feel like it does a very good job on that. And
that last track.
The last track is the highlight of the album for me.
Who Goes
Who
There?
Goes There? IFF.
Which stands for?
Identify, Friend or Foe. So, basically, the first half of the song is good. But then when the IFF part comes in, it just goes to another level. The double bass work with the accompanying riff is so good. The gang vocals.
Yep.
This song would be, I mean, we talked about the other songs live. This song would be the shit live.
100%.
This song would have the entire, they'd have the room in the palm of their hand playing this. It's so good. It's so fun. It's so entertaining, and it just hits so hard. And then all of a sudden the album starts again with OCD when you got it on loop, and then OCD plays, and then all of a sudden, fuck it, and you're back into it again, and you're like,
go
yes,
for round 2.
Here we go again. Let's go for round 2, round 3, round 4. I had so much fun listening to this album throughout this week. I think that this band nailed it. I've been a fan of this band for a while. I mentioned in our new releases / first impressions video that, you know, The Human Condition, No Tolerance for Imperfection, I love both those albums. Then they kind of fell off the map for me a little bit with some of their other stuff like Gagging Order and whatever else they had in between there. I was like, whatever, not too fond of them. Here we go now, Man Must Die is fucking back. This is what I want from this band. They fucking nailed it.
So as someone who's been into this band, how would you say this ranks against the other discography that you know?
That's tough because, like I said, I really like those first 2 albums. At least I think that's the first 2 albums. They might have had something prior to Human Condition, but I don't think so. So just ranking it compared to those 2, I'd say it might be number 1. Like, I'd have to go back and listen to No Tolerance again because for a long time that was my favorite metal album, like, bar none. No Tolerance for Imperfection. At one point that was, like, to me, peak metal. It's been a while since I've heard the whole thing, and to be honest, I did overplay some of the songs on there because I liked it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So this being fresh is probably gonna squeeze into a number 1 spot. Now I can go back and listen to Human Condition and go, holy fuck, I forgot how good this was, right? You never know. But overall, like, I'm just really impressed with this performance. I'm really impressed with the writing on here. I'm impressed with the work all around, the musicianship, the what am I trying to say? What each member added to the album is very just fucking good.
Everyone was a highlight on this album.
Everyone's a highlight on the album.
Consistently.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
One thing to mention about Who Goes There, when I was listening to that song, it kind of sounded like a really jacked up Evil song to me. It sounds like you take an Evil song and you just click it to overdrive and just crank it up to like 11.
I mean, Evil's already on overdrive, so that's pretty crazy.
Well, that goes to show how crazy this album is, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe I got from that song. It was the only one that did that too, which is another point towards how unique the songs are on this album. Like, it's just consistently cool, interesting songs that all sound like their own thing, and it's wild. And another thing to mention, one more thing, is that this album is only 1 minute longer than the Go Rod album we checked out last week. And I know that was a big point we made last week, like, oh, this album is kind of too short. But this album's only 1 minute longer. We both love it, and I think a big part of that is just from the memorability of these tracks.
It's content.
And the pacing. This album is paced very, very, very well, so that you feel like you're listening to like a 40, 50-minute album, but it's really condensed. Like, Bring Me the Head of the King is a 3.5-minute song that feels like a 5-minute song because of the way it's paced and its content.
Yeah.
So I think it was a master craft of this album of pacing that, you know, properly gets you from beginning to end. Go Ride didn't do that as well. That's why we had that criticism of it with the length. So that just goes to show, album good. This album good. Yes. Yeah.
Just really well crafted overall. So I'm just gonna rate it a toe tag. It's probably my highlight album of the year so far. I mean, we're only like
We're only 3 months in.
towards the end of March. Like, we're only 3 and a bit months in. Like, I know there's a lot of potential for other things to overshadow this, but this is definitely going to be a front runner towards my end of the year for my end of the year video, because it's just so freaking good, man. And I have a feeling like 8 months, 9 months down the road, when I start listening to it again for, you know, the end of year video, I'm going to forget how good it was and be floored all over again. That's going to happen. So Toe Tag for me, super well deserved. Fucking loved it.
It's a toe tag for me as well. I guess it's really no secret based on how we've been speaking of this album for the past 10 odd minutes.
No criticism,
But
really.
no, there was nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Not even it was like a short length album. Not even a problem because how they paced it. Like they just killed it with this whole record. It's also a front runner for me for album of the year at the moment. Like they just nailed this album from start to finish. So well deserving of 2 toe tags, going right up on our list of albums to receive a toe tag from each of us. Well done for Man Must Die. When this album dropped, we were looking forward to a chance to review it, and I'm glad that we finally did, because it's definitely deserved a week of our time and even longer. And we suggest you guys check out this album if you haven't already, because it's been out for about a month, maybe even a little bit over a month.
Month and a half.
So if you haven't listened to it, do yourself a favor and listen to The Pain Behind It All by Man Must Die. And that's all we got for you guys today. Remember to like this video if you liked it. Comment, tell us in the comments below, what did you think of this album? If you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to it and then let us know how much you loved it, because we know you did. And subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Bob Self.
And keep the horns up.